Have you ever thought about the dangers that lurk within the confines of the home, especially when the perpetrator is someone you trust? Let's take a moment to delve into the chilling story that unfolded in the home of Dr. Connor Bowman, a respected Mayo Clinic doctor, and his wife, Betty Bowman. Dr. Bowman, a figure of trust and authority in the medical field, found himself in the heart of a shocking scandal. Accused of poisoning his wife, the story that emerged painted a disturbing picture of betrayal, deceit, and a deadly obsession. The disturbing events unfolded in a place where one should feel safest, their home. Betty Bowman, a beloved wife, fell ill under suspicious circumstances. Initially, her condition was thought to be a result of natural causes. However, as the investigation progressed, it was revealed that the cause of her illness was far from natural. The culprit? A lethal dose of colchicine, a drug she was not prescribed. The one person who had access to such a substance was none other than her husband, the poison control specialist. The Bowmans' marriage was far from perfect. Like many couples, they had their share of problems. But unlike most couples, their issues involved hidden debt and a secret girlfriend. The strain of these issues took its toll on their relationship, leading to an open relationship agreement where emotional attachments to other partners were strictly forbidden. When Betty discovered Connor's hidden debt, it added another layer of tension to their already strained relationship, pushing them to the brink of divorce. Betty's life was about to take a dark turn, and the person responsible was the one she least suspected. A simple act of sharing a smoothie led to a chilling premonition that no one saw coming. Picture this: Betty Bowman, a respected pharmacist, enjoying a seemingly innocuous smoothie prepared by her husband, Dr. Connor Bowman. But there was something off about this smoothie. Betty's friend, who had come over for a visit, was also offered a taste. They both found the drink unusually bitter and salty, quite different from the sweet, refreshing taste one would expect. In a moment of lighthearted banter, they joked about how it almost seemed like Dr. Bowman was trying to poison Betty. They laughed it off, dismissing the notion as ridiculous. After all, why would a loving husband, a respected doctor no less, do something so monstrous? But as we now know, that seemingly absurd idea wasn't far from the truth. A simple taste test turned into an eerie foreshadowing, a moment of innocent jest that would later be viewed with a sobering sense of irony. Little did they know, their light-hearted speculation would soon turn into a sinister reality. A sudden illness, a rapid decline. But was this a case of natural disease or something far more sinister? Betty Bowman, vibrant and full of life, suddenly fell ill on the 16th of August. The culprit? A seemingly innocent smoothie prepared by her husband, Dr. Connor Bowman. Within hours, she was rushed to the hospital, her body betraying her in ways she couldn't comprehend. Her heart was in turmoil, her lungs filled with fluid, and her organs began a catastrophic failure, one after the other. It was a rapid and frightening decline, unlike anything you'd expect from a sudden illness. The medical team, baffled by her symptoms and the speed at which her condition was deteriorating, tried everything in their power to save her. But it was as if Betty was fighting an unseen enemy, one that was winning. Despite their best efforts, Betty tragically passed away on the 20th of August, a mere 4 days after being hospitalized. The Southeast Minnesota Medical Examiner's Office, sensing something amiss, stepped in. The unusual circumstances surrounding Betty's death raised suspicions. They put a halt to the immediate cremation of her body, paving the way for further investigation. Betty's tragic demise was only the beginning of a shocking revelation. When death doesn't add up, science steps in to solve the mystery. And that's exactly what happened in the case of Betty Bowman. The Southeast Minnesota Medical Examiner's Office, with an astute sense of suspicion, intervened following Betty's death. The unusual circumstances surrounding her demise prompted their involvement, and thankfully, they prevented the immediate cremation of her body, allowing investigators to take a closer look. Toxicology reports conducted on Betty's body revealed a shocking discovery: the presence of colchicine, a drug typically used to treat gout. But here's where things start to get strange. Betty had no history of gout, and she wasn't administered colchicine during her hospital stay. So how did this drug find its way into her system? This discovery immediately raised red flags, suggesting that colchicine might have been used not as a treatment, but as a lethal poison. You see, colchicine, when used in high doses, can cause serious health complications, including cardiac issues, fluid in the lungs, and ultimately, organ failure, the very symptoms that Betty exhibited before her untimely death. Now, let's remember that Dr. Connor Bowman was a former poison control specialist and internal medicine doctor. He had the knowledge and the access to toxic substances like colchicine. And as investigators delved deeper, they uncovered evidence suggesting that he had been researching colchicine, even making purchases related to the drug. In the cold light of these findings, the jovial speculation about Dr. Bowman's smoothie suddenly took on a chilling significance. Was this the method he used to administer the deadly dose? The pieces of the puzzle were starting to come together, painting a grim picture. Sometimes the truth is more horrifying than fiction. As the investigation into Betty Bowman's tragic demise progressed, a chilling reality began to emerge, casting a shadow of suspicion over her husband, Dr. Connor Bowman. Detectives, meticulously piecing together the puzzle, turned their attention to Dr. Bowman's internet search history. The digital footprints led them to a series of searches related to colchicine, the very drug found in Betty's system, a drug she had no reason to consume, a drug lethal in the wrong hands. And in this case, those hands belonged to a man who knew exactly what he was dealing with. Dr. Bowman, a poison control specialist, had access to a wide array of toxic substances. His knowledge and expertise, once used to save lives, were now under scrutiny as potential tools for a sinister plot. Investigators began to question if this medical professional had exploited his position, using his knowledge to mask a perfect crime. But what could be the motive behind such a horrendous act? As friends and family grieved, a shocking revelation came to light. Dr. Bowman had mentioned receiving a significant life insurance payout following Betty's death. Suddenly, the pieces seemed to fit together, forming a picture of a man driven by financial desperation and cold calculation. The bitter taste of the smoothie, the sudden illness, the concealed debt, the life insurance payout, and the unusual presence of colchicine all pointed towards a disturbing conclusion. Betty's death was no accident. It was a meticulously planned act, allegedly executed by the one person she should have been able to trust the most. The truth was beginning to unravel, and it was far more disturbing than anyone could have imagined. In the court of law, every action has consequences. This couldn't ring truer than in the case of Dr. Connor Bowman. Initially, the former Mayo Clinic doctor found himself facing charges of second-degree murder, a serious accusation in itself. But as the investigation progressed, the severity of the charges escalated. A grand jury in Olmsted County, Minnesota, took a hard look at the evidence, deliberated, and returned with an indictment that sent shockwaves through the community. They upgraded the charges against Dr. Bowman to first-degree murder, premeditated and with intent. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment act of violence. The jury suggested a calculated, cold-blooded act of betrayal. The implications of these upgraded charges are significant. If found guilty, Dr. Bowman could face life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. A conviction would not only tarnish his professional reputation beyond repair, but would also strip him of his freedom, a price to pay for a crime as heinous as this. As the legal proceedings continue, the evidence against Dr. Bowman appears damning. His knowledge of toxic substances, his access to them, his suspicious internet search history, and the suspicious circumstances surrounding his wife's death all point towards a chilling conclusion. However, it's important to remember that in the justice system, a person is innocent until proven guilty. The burden of proof lies with the prosecution, who must convince the jury beyond a reasonable doubt of Dr. Bowman's guilt. As the legal proceedings unfold, one question remains: will justice be served for Betty? In the face of such a chilling case, one can't help but ponder the depths of human deception. We've journeyed through a tale of deceit and betrayal, marked by the alleged poisoning of Betty Bowman by her husband, Dr. Connor Bowman. This story, with its shocking twists and turns, has indeed captivated a nation, leaving us all in a state of disbelief. This tale began with a marriage on the rocks, strained by financial woes and emotional entanglements. The seemingly innocent smoothie, with its bitter and salty taste, became the harbinger of a tragic end. The sudden illness that followed, the rapid deterioration of Betty's health, and her subsequent passing all pointed towards a sinister plot. The medical examiner's intervention, the discovery of colchicine in Betty's system, and the prevention of her immediate cremation all played crucial roles in unmasking the unseen enemy. The pieces of the puzzle began to fit together, painting a disturbing picture of a man who allegedly used his medical knowledge to orchestrate a heinous act. The ongoing investigation further unraveled the truth. Dr. Bowman's internet search history, his purchases related to colchicine, and the revelation of a substantial life insurance payout following Betty's death all raised red flags about his motives. The charges brought against him, from second-degree murder to first-degree murder with intent, reflect the gravity of his alleged actions. As we await the outcome of the legal proceedings, we are left to grapple with the implications of this case. It serves as a stark reminder that trust and love can be manipulated, that professional knowledge can be misused, and that even in the most intimate of relationships, one can become a victim. In the end, the story of Dr. Connor Bowman serves as a grim reminder. Sometimes, the most dangerous threats are the ones closest to home.